Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in my garage. It's kind of a nice day here in North Texas. I got the garage door open, but I got the fan on because there's a couple like gnats and flies around here that always want to swarm around my face. So I'm sorry if there's a little bit of a hum in the background. You'll just have to put up with that. But I don't want to be swatting stuff away from my face the whole time. In today's video, I wanted to give you guys a first impressions on a silencer I'm currently working on a review for, and I wanted to talk about integrated compensators on pistols because my friend Matt messaged me today asking me a really interesting question, and I had to sit down and think about it. I was like, I want to share my thoughts with you and see if you guys would agree or disagree. And then at the end of the video, I may have something else I want to talk about, but we'll have to see. It's nothing that important or big, but I'll decide towards the end if I want to talk about it. But let's talk about the suppressor review first. And when it comes to these suppressor reviews that I've been doing, and I cannot wait for you guys to get to see them. They're scheduled for next year because I got so much content. And in case you're wondering, once again, if you're new to my channel, this is my behind the scenes channel. This is not my main channel. This is not where I do proper range reports or reviews or any of that. It's just, I'm just a guy in a garage with his camera, phone, and that is it. Okay, this is just, I like to just make like a little vlog of what's going on in my life and what's going on at the Texas Gun Vault. But anyway, I have so much content that I think right now everything I make is set for release next June. Like that's it, like multiple, like 2 or 3 videos a week until next June. And that's if I don't make any more content, and I still got way more content to make. I'm blessed beyond my wildest dreams. But I cannot wait for you guys to see my suppressor reviews because I put a lot of time into them. I call them range reports, but I think I put them on my product review playlist as well because they're not really range reports, they're more product reviews. But I take a lot of time in them. Filming them is really easy at the range because the tests are not that intensive, and they're really easy to set up and compare side by side, suppressed, unsuppressed, that kind of stuff. But it's the editing that takes a long time. And even filming here in the garage, easy peasy. But it's the editing that takes me a long time, especially with all the chronograph data I have to put in and then decide how to structure it and organize it. And I hope you guys, whenever you get to see them, enjoy them because I'm really happy with how they're turning out because I reviewed them from a different perspective than I think many other content creators. Because as I mentioned, I think in the opening of every suppressor review I'm doing, is that most people, when it comes to a suppressor review, the only data they care about is decibel reduction. And that's it. That's all they care about is decibel reduction. So people will put these on host weapons and they just measure that. And people will say, well, that suppressor is better than that suppressor because it lowers the decibel by 12 decibels versus, 10 or whatever it is. However, as a civilian shooter, and I think as an average gun guy, there's other metrics that are important to me when it comes to what's important with a suppressor, essentially. And I say things like tone, back pressure, or essentially the resistance of the can. How hot does it get? How does it retain heat? Does it change the point of impact? Stuff like that. Some of that is going to be qualitative, meaning like when it comes to the tone, because the camera is never going to pick up the tone. I kind of have to say, well, this one has a higher pitch, this one has a lower pitch, this one is this or that. So that's very qualitative, and you just have to kind of take my word for it, and you can believe my opinion or not. Some of the data, like the chronograph data, is very quantitative, but I think I talk about these suppressors in a little bit different way than many other content creators that just do the whole decibel reduction stuff. But I don't do the decibel reduction stuff because I don't have the specialized audio equipment. So I'm excited to see what people think. And so far, every suppressor I have reviewed has been really, really, really good. All like 4.5 or 5-star reviews. So anyway, the one that I'm currently working on, and by the way, if you see a little bug fly in front of the camera, I'm sorry. I got a little fly or gnat or mosquito or something. I may have to adjust my fan that's blowing on me here to blow that away. Because, of course, whenever I'm making content out here, I got to have a fly, got to have something that's right in my face or get in front of the camera. So I apologize. In fact, let me do that right now because it's bugging me. So I just got to turn my fan here. And hopefully that will prevent the mosquito from getting on the camera. And that's probably, hold on a second. This is the joy of just filming on your camera phone as like a behind the scenes channel. But anyway, I'm really excited to see what people think of my reviews. But they do take a lot of time to make. And this one is actually going to be the most intensive because I filmed it on 2 different host weapons. And the suppressor that I'm currently working on a review for is the OSS HXQD Magnum TI. And this is a 338 suppressor. So I think this is designed for, like, Magnum 30 caliber applications like 338 Lapua, 308, that kind of stuff. But even the stuff that's even more powerful than 308, I'm probably pretty sure, like, I don't know, you guys name a caliber. Pretty much, if it's 30 caliber and it's a Magnum full-powered rifle cartridge, this is what it's designed for. But I don't really have any host weapons that I think would work well in that way, because I don't have like a 338 Lapua bolt-action rifle or anything. But I am going to use this on a 5.56 and a 300 blackout. In fact, I already did, and I'll tell you what happened. But a very positive experience. It's a big suppressor because this thing is designed for durability and, of course, the power of those cartridges. But it's made of titanium. That's what the TI in the name is. I personally love titanium as a material for suppressors, especially for the civilian side of things. I believe probably when it comes to actual durability, Stellite or Inconel is probably better. Hold on a second, I gotta adjust the fan again. But when it comes to, I think that like civilian applications, I think titanium is the way to go. In fact, my favorite rifle suppressor is my Yankee Hill Machine Phantom Titanium, or TI. It's light, it's durable, and it has a great sound. I know it's their older design that I don't think they make anymore, but I love that, and I love the weight of it. I also have the same suppressor in stainless steel, and it's heavier, but I love titanium. So this thing looks big and bulky, but really it's pretty light for what it is. So I took it to the range and I said, I don't have a 338 Lapua rifle to test this on, but being what it's designed for, I think this might be a good, like, multi-purpose can. I think a lot of people in the civilian world, they're going to buy one can that can do many things. You can do the Magnum rifle rounds. You could do 300 blackout with this, and you can even do like 5.56. So I used this on a 300 blackout and a 5.56. So some people might be a little bit sad and disappointed that I don't put this on a full power rifle. But I think, as I said, I have to think about the application most average gun people that are going to buy this would use it on. So the 2 weapons that I took to the range, and I did both tests on different days, because every time I go to the range, even if it's like late at night, like 11 o'clock at night, inevitably there is somebody else there. In fact, I went there and it was like 10:30 at night on a Sunday night, and I get there, I get everything set up, and in comes 2 guys and their girlfriends, and these guys were trying to like show off to their girlfriends. So because I'm reviewing a suppressor, they're in there making a bunch of noise and shooting unsuppressed and all that. I'm like, okay, I'll just come back another day. So I got half of it done then, and I got half of it done last night. But I started off with my Seekins Precision 300 Blackout SBR, and I kind of want to give an update actually on this gun. I will say that I struggle with this as a host weapon because it uses, when I built this, I used the Fostech Echo trigger. I mentioned that, and I'm having problems with this trigger. Oh my gosh. I mean, it works good in like the binary mode. I can actually shoot it pretty fast as long as the gun runs well. But for some reason, when I have it in the, I guess, single action, or I guess we call it the semi-automatic mode, when I fire it, and the bolt cycles, it like turns the safety selector switch like halfway between the binary and the semi-auto, and then eventually it like gets stuck. I don't know. So I have to in the video you'll see me take my finger and I move it back. I gotta replace this trigger. It works great in binary, but I need to put in like a Geisley trigger. I need to go buy it. I need to go get one. I know who says it, Midway or Brownells has like good deals on those. So I may have to go or just wait for one of their sales. But I got to change the trigger out. I might even have a mil spec one in my big parts bin. I may have to do that. But it doesn't affect the testing of the suppressor, whether or not this trigger runs well or not. But I did discover that this gun will run subsonic ammo. I was having a problem with that in the last suppressor review, but not changing a darn thing out, I found that Winchester 300 blackout subsonic works in this thing. It cycles. It doesn't, I think it's short strokes because it doesn't lock open after the last round, but I can successfully cycle through a magazine with it, which was great for this review because then I could do unsuppressed, suppressed supersonic, and suppressed subsonic. So anyway, when it came to this, oh, by the way, and I did use the OSS muzzle brakes on it, and that's another thing I don't like. I do not like muzzle brakes. Man, do I not like muzzle brakes. Because they just make the gun obnoxious and loud. But when it comes to a suppressor, if you're only going to run them suppressed, I think muzzle brakes are the way to go because they act like the initial blast baffle, and they take a lot of that initial like unburnt powder and blast, and it really protects the suppressor a lot. But if you shoot unsuppressed, it's annoying. But anyway, so this suppressor worked really well with supersonic. I would have to say that it has, well, probably because of its volume, it is really quiet for supersonic 300 blackout. I really didn't hear anything except the supersonic crack of the projectile. And subsonic, where it ran 95% of the time, it's scary quiet. It's really good. In fact, I think personally, if I'm going to have a suppressed 300 blackout firearm, I would buy a suppressor that is rated for more powerful cartridges, that is bigger in volume because you get better suppression. I know a lot of people like the smallest suppressors possible, but the volume of a suppressor is really what I think is important to get it quiet and get you a good tone. And this suppressor definitely does that. Unfortunately, it's not user serviceable like the other OSS suppressors, but being for a Magnum caliber, I understand why it's not. But it ran really, really good. In 300 blackout, this suppressor does not get hot at all. Okay, well, obviously it gets hot, but let's just say the temperature on this after doing, I don't know, 150 rounds and a couple mag dumps, it was only at like 270 degrees, which is really, really cool for a suppressor. And then after 5 minutes, and by the way, thanks for the idea from my friend Jack number 2. He said, hey, on that heat test, don't just do how hot it gets, do how hot it gets right after you shoot it, and then wait 5 minutes and see how it dissipates the heat. And after 5 minutes, this suppressor, I think it's because it's titanium, it was down to like 180, 170 after only 5 minutes. This thing runs super cool on this gun. And because it has the flow-through technology, it really works, just like all the other OSS and Helix suppressors I've reviewed. It really does reduce the back pressure. I mean, you could shoot this gun super comfortably with no gas coming back in your face. This is a fantastic suppressor. The biggest downside to it, of course, is the size, but I don't mind the size, especially because it's titanium and it's light. So size does matter, in my opinion, because if I'm going to run a suppressor, I don't care about being in the smallest thing possible, but it runs really, really well with 300 blackout. So this was just a great suppressor for this. As I said, the only downside I think to this is just the what was I going to say? Oh yeah, it's not user serviceable. That's the thing I don't like about it. But as I said, not every rifle suppressor has to be. Then the other host weapon I used, and let me move this out of the way here, was my North Star Arms NS15, and the 5.56 muzzle brake, which, by the way, once again, I have to reiterate, I hate muzzle brakes. I hate them. Oh, especially with 5.56. So anyway, it also fits on this as well. Now, obviously, a 30 caliber suppressor is not going to work as well on 5.56. You have a lot of space between the projectile. But I gotta say, I think because of its volume, it worked pretty darn well. I would say it's probably hearing safe. And not a lot of gas to the back of the gun. Now, unlike the other suppressors that I have recently reviewed, this suppressor increases the velocity of the projectiles. The other two that I've recently reviewed, when I did the chronograph data, it slowed the projectiles down, like 25 feet per second, 30 feet per second on average. This one somehow speeds it up. I don't know. But one thing I'm also doing is I show on camera, I show what ammo I'm using as well. I kind of thought I needed to do that as well, especially with 300 blackout, because people will ask, because there's so many different grain weights. But this thing works really well on 5.56. It's not the greatest. It's not as nice as my titanium Phantom from Yankee Hill Machine, but it works really well. I think it's hearing safe. It has almost no deviation in accuracy. So it's really a great suppressor. And I really feel it's a great do-all suppressor. And even if you're not going to shoot 308 or 338 Lapua, this is a great suppressor if you like modern sporting rifles, 300 blackout, 5.56, because it can do so much, and I think it does it all pretty darn well. So I had a good time with this thing. Really good time. I just got a lot of editing to do to make sure I put all the chronograph data and show all the different ammo I was using, so I can give everybody that information. All right. So that's my first impressions on that. And yeah, it's the OSS Helix, and it is the HXQD Magnum TI. So yeah, good time with that one. I can't wait for you guys to see those reviews. Okay, so now let's talk about the other thing I mentioned I wanted to talk about, which was with integrated comps on pistols. My friend Matt messaged me. Now, I just got home from work a little bit ago, and so I haven't really been on the YouTubes today to see what's going on, but I guess Matt told me that Springfield Armory, I guess, dropped another gun. I think it was the Echelon or something, but it has an integrated suppressor. And of course, you guys know how I hate it when there's a lifting of an embargo or whatever, and like every gun channel does a amazingly positive review on a gun that was just released. I just think it's cheesy. I think it's disingenuous, and once again, you'll notice that everybody has glowing positive reviews, okay? And you can decide why that is. I personally think there's a huge bias involved, and that's why if I ever get a chance to review this gun or any gun that comes out, I like it to be a couple months later. So the hype has died down, and of course you guys know that I'm super nitpicky, and I'll find something weird about it that I don't like or doesn't run well for me. Everyone tells me I'm an idiot, like, how dare you, go watch this person's review, they love it. Whatever, I know. But I just share my thoughts and experiences as an average gun guy who's not in the gun world. But anyway, I guess this integrated comp pistol, I guess this pistol has an integrated comp, I should say. And my friend Matt was asking me, what do I think about them? Because I've shot and reviewed a lot of guns. And yeah, I have. And I told him, if I'm going to have any type of compensation on a gun, I actually prefer it to have a ported barrel versus an integrated comp. For a couple of reasons. Number one, if you have an integrated comp, the gun's a little bit more difficult to take apart in field strip, especially if you want to take the barrel out. Not always, but a lot of times it is. I find that they get dirty, and as an OCD kind of gun guy, I like to get down into all the nooks and crannies and clean them out, and I can't do that with an integrated comp. I also think that they might make the guns slightly less reliable, because you have an extra weight at the end of the barrel. So if you have a tilting barreled action firearm, So when the barrel comes back, you have that weight at the end that's pushing down. I mean, I've never really had any problems with it, but in my mind, I'm like, mechanically, it seems like it's working against itself. The barrel wants to tilt up, but you have the gases wanting to push it down. You have the extra weight when it cycles. I don't know. Then you have, I don't think as good as performance as a ported barrel. If you have a ported barrel, when the projectile passes the ports, the gas pressure is high, and you are going to get the maximum compensation from that. But with an integrated comp, the projectile has already left the barrel, the gases are already dissipating, and you vent off some of that dissipating gas upward. So I think you get the worst of everything in that you do get more flash, you feel the concussion in your face a little bit more, but you also get less compensation. Now, the last thing is I think they're goofy looking. In general, I don't think miniguns with integrated comps look all that good. It's a personal thing. It's a personal aesthetic thing. But I think, and this is what I told my friend Matt. I said, Matt, I think integrated comps that we see a lot on like 2011 pistols today in race guns, I think they're a gimmick. Now hear me out. Hear me out. You know how like you could look at certain guns from certain periods and go, oh yeah, that's definitely a gun from the 1980s, or that's definitely a gun from the early 2010s, because there's all these fads that come and go. But of course, when the fads are hot, everyone's like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's going to be the standard forever. And then in like a few years, it's gone. You know, a good example would be, because somebody asked me about it, on this Seekins here, I have key mod. Why in the world do I have key mod? Well, that's because when I assembled this gun so many years ago, key mod was the thing. You know, a lot of people forget that key mod, I think, was a little bit earlier than M-Lock, but when it came to the key mod versus M-Lock wars, I think a lot of people thought key mod was going to be the thing. Even HK did. I think their MR556s came with key mod for a while. Up until just a couple years ago. But anyway, so this was the hot thing, and I had to make a decision when I assembled this. Am I going to go M-Lock or am I going to go key mod? And I went key mod, and obviously I made a mistake. But I mean, it's not bad. I like the way it looks. I don't really run anything on the side. But yeah, it's a fad. It was a fad. Now, I think now hear me out, and I can't prove this. I don't have a time machine. I think in 10 to 15 years, you're going to look at guns that have integrated compensators and go, that was a mid-2020 thing. I can't believe we did that. Look how goofy that looks. I really feel like it's a big deal now. Everyone wants to run. It's like the flat-face triggers. Okay, I still think flat-face triggers are a fad. They're hot now. Everyone loves them. Whatever. I really feel like in 10 to 15 years, and by the way, before you tell me I'm wrong, you can't predict the future either, any better than I can. My personal feeling is we're going to look back and go, oh, that's a fad. We always go back to what works. Because if a flat-face trigger really was it, we would have been doing it 50, 60 years ago. Seriously, we would have been doing it. You don't think John Moses Browning could have figured that out, or any of the great shooters, like, Jeff Cooper couldn't have figured that out, that flat-face triggers are better? Why do all of those triggers have a little bit of curve in them? We all know why, but we all want to think, oh, it's the new revolutionary thing, and then in 10 to 15 years, we go back to the way it was. Same thing's going to be with comps, integrated comps on pistols. My personal opinion. Now, something that I don't think is a fad is red dots on pistols. I think that's here to stay, okay? I think that is a natural, logical leap forward in pistol technology as we integrate electronics into our guns. But when it comes to the mechanical aspects, flat-face triggers, they'll be gone in 10 to 15 years. And trust me, in 10 years, when everybody has flat-face triggers, you're going to have a company come out and be like, look at this, it's a rounded trigger, it's revolutionary. And they'll, whatever, and then we'll go back to the way it was. Same thing with integrated comps, okay? So anyway, what do you guys think about integrated comps, flat-face triggers? Do you think they're fads? Because I do think they're fads. Even if you like them, you can't say, well, because I like them, they're not going to be a fad. You got to be honest with yourself, okay? There's certain things that I like in the gun world that honestly are fads. I'll even show you one here that I personally like, and I see people on the Facebook groups joke about them, but they've always worked well for me. Is if you have like a mil-spec lower, I have the bad lever on it, the mag pull bad lever. I know that is totally a fad, and I love it. I don't see anybody use them anymore, but I sure like just being able to go boop. And if I don't have an ambi lower, that I admit it, it's a fad, but I like it. But I can admit what it is. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on any of that, okay? And so if you made it this far in the video, I'm going to give you the word of the day. The word of the day is fad. Fad is the word of the day. So use that in the comments so I know you watched to the end and you are a true vault dweller. All right. So we talked about my first impressions or initial impressions on the OSS suppressor, Magnum TI, and we talked about my thoughts on integrated comps. Okay, so now I guess we'll talk about the other thing I wanted to talk about today, because I kind of felt bad. I'll give you a little bit of behind the scenes here at the Texas Gun Vault. I talked to some people at a certain firearms company, and I felt really bad, because apparently, even though I'm a nobody, and by the way, I have no ego about this. I literally am a nobody in the gun world. I do this as a hobby. Okay, I am a hobbyist. On this channel especially, I get, 250 to 300 views a video. That's it. I mean, it's nothing. But I'm a nobody. I don't claim to be anybody special. I'm not an expert shooter. I'm not anybody that has... I'm not a trainer. I'm not any of that. I'm just a guy that loves guns and has an amazing opportunity to shoot awesome firearms. Okay? That's all that I am. If you think I'm anything more than that, you're sorely mistaken. Okay? I'm a nobody. And it's okay to enjoy my content, but you have to put me in perspective of, I'm a nobody. And I'm not saying that to be, derogatory of me or anything. I'm just a guy on the internet, and if you don't like me, you can, I always tell people, and with the mean comments, you can click away, okay? You're not going to hurt my feelings. You can say, you can't say it in my comment section, but you can tell everybody that this guy, that Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, is an absolute idiot. I can't believe anybody watches him or whatever. He has crooked teeth and he's bald. I honestly don't care, because I really like who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am. But anyway, all of that said, apparently, influential people watch my channel. They may not comment. And I really felt bad because a representative from this firearms company told me that I gave them some grief because of my negative experiences. Even though I was positive about the gun and positive about the company, I talked about issues that I experienced. I caused them grief, and I guess they have people in that were looking to buy contracts on that particular firearm, and I guess they just went on YouTube and found that video on the Texas Gun Vault 2 that has like 250 views on it or whatever. I feel bad. I really do feel bad, because it was never my intention, and I don't know how to feel about it, because I don't want to get anybody in any trouble, and I didn't really think that those videos were bad because I was so complimentary of the company and the gun. I just had some issues with it. I don't know. But I'm somebody that doesn't like to offend or hurt other people. And and I think one of my maybe it's not a character flaw. I don't know. One of the things that always makes me feel really bad is when I find out that I said something that hurts somebody else's feelings or makes them upset when it was never my intention to do so. And this happens all the time, like in the professional world. For example, what was it? Like when I was in college, okay, I was talking with somebody, and they were hanging out with one of, let's just say, a world-class musician. Okay, you wouldn't know who they are, but they played in a major symphony orchestra over in Europe. And I had a chance to talk to him and just meet him, and I said something to the effect of, It's an absolute pleasure to meet you. And they had mentioned that they got this position. I mean, they're a virtuoso on their instrument, or were a virtuoso on their instrument. And they had won this job when they were like 18 years old. Okay, so I said, wow, that's just an amazing experience that you had. Just wow, you're very lucky. I said that, so I meant it as a compliment. Well, a day later, I find out, and this is the app. Anyway, I find out a day later, I ended up offending him because I said you were lucky to have that experience. Because apparently I was supposed to say, wow, you're awesome because you earned that experience. My intentions were to be complimentary, okay? Now, in retrospect, I don't think what I said was wrong or bad. But other people take what I say, even if my intentions are positive, to be negative, okay? And it's the way it is sometimes. And I feel really, really, really bad because one of my definite character flaws or personality flaws is I don't read people's emotions very, very well. As an INTJ introvert, reading people's emotions are not my forte. I can't tell if you're mad, happy, sad. I can tell the basic stuff, but I won't be able to figure out why. So if you give me nonverbal communication, I'm not going to know. So I can tell you're upset, but if you expect me to know what the problem is, you're not going to get that from me. You have to say I am sad or upset that you said this or did this, and then I'm like, oh, good. Thank you for letting me know so I can fix it, or do my best to rectify the situation. But man, when people don't tell me, I'm lost. But anyway, I felt bad. But we'll see. Hopefully I can continue a relationship with them. But I have to be me and be honest about my experiences. But I never intended for them to get in any trouble or to be upset, or for them to like lose business. That was never my intention, because literally I'm a nobody. And to be very honest with you, like, that's the position that I make all this content from. Like, I really feel like nobody watches this, nobody cares. And if what I say, I'm a music teacher. I'm not even in the gun world. I'm a music teacher. That's what I do for a living. If what I say on my little camera phone, sitting here in my garage on my backup channel that only has 4,000 subscribers on it, okay, and I get 200 views of video, if that affects major contracts with firearms companies, I don't know. I mean, that seems out of perspective, because I am a nobody. As I said, I'm a little guy. That's all I am. So I don't know, but we'll see. That's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, because I felt bad, and I kind of felt like I needed to share that with you, because I don't like hurting other people's feelings or making them feel sad. But apparently I did. And yeah. So anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. You guys know the word of the day if you watch to the end. So tell me what you think about this suppressor. And this suppressor. Do you like it as a dual suppressor? Would you be disappointed if I don't shoot it on a 308 or 338 Lapua rifle and just use it on 300 Blackout and 5.56. Let me know what you think about the fads that I talked about, or things I think are fads. So it's been a long video. Thank you for joining me here in the garage. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I love having these dialogues with you. So, as always, thanks for watching.